Welcome to Sibya I.T with Kuya JT, episode 18, the 28th of September 2020. Salamat sa pag-uban ka nako o pa-attendance na mo by posting a comment dire sa atong YouTube channel. Actually, mga kaigsunan, I suggest nga magpa-register mo sa YouTube. Okay ba kung na-register na mo sa Facebook? Pero mas maigi nang ma-register pod mo sa YouTube. So, right now, okay, so right now, pa-register ta sa sa YouTube. Okay. Okay, alright. So, salamat yung mag-iuban ka nako. Pag post na mo sa YouTube atong channel, make sure that nga mo sa YouTube, you subscribe to YouTube channel and post a comment sa atong YouTube channel so that I can read it. Okay, so ato na siyang okay. Sorry ha, kaya nakakuan tani. Wanitas daghang kay mga kuan. Ngari kita sa atong technology news mga kaigsunan. Ito sa atong technology news. Okay, sa atong technologies. Sa Apple's battle with Epic Games could lead to big changes sa iPhone apps. Okay. So, ano headline na to? Fortnite nga games, no? Ang Apple Watch Series 6 review. Sa kay paano niya? Og Alexa is more vital than ever during coronavirus. Og Amazon knows it. So, kuyawan ng Alexa Og ang United States naghatag og restrictions on China's biggest chip maker. Of course, ang kuan gid aning United States ang ilagay ni security reasons. Sa laing bahin, ang Google parent nga Alphabet gisitol ang usa ka shareholder suit over sexual misconduct allegations. Sa laing bahin, ang WeChat may be hit with a US ban after sa US Justice Department nga request. Now, kanang WeChat, member mo sa kanang WeChat, gamit na mo sa China tanan. Ang imong mga online payments na tanan. WeChat na. Facebook Content Oversight Board to launch before election. And what do we need to know? So, magbuhat sila oversight board sa content sa Facebook. Ang Facebook, malik yun, gihimo na nilagay ko na rin ko ng Facebook. Gihimo na nilang muraba o pangwarta lang ba? Wa na i-control sa content. Although si Mark Zuckerberg, yung sa siya freedom of speech na. Amazon's new Ring camera is a flying drone for inside your house. So, katong Ring, gipalit man to sa Amazon. Karon ang Ring camera o sa outdoor na nasa sa in-house. Flying drone, wala dyan privacy ani. How the Xbox Series X or Series 10 and Series S fit into popular IKEA furniture. Ang higang IKEA, mabutang sa mga sudlanan para sa Xbox. Ang Google nag-celebrate sa iyang 22nd birthday together but from a distance. And how a squiggle changed the course of astrophysics. Kuya, ano? Marka ito na discuss ako na. Yung babae nga, astrophysicist. And what a Trump re-election would mean for technology, and why Amazon Luna can succeed where Google Stadia failed. Hacking the apocalypse, high-tech solutions could save us all. Yeah. Generation China, exploring China's technological ambition. 5G, your next big upgrade, and the next gen cellular tech has arrived. Now, kanang 5G conversation, murag naman siya tulo ka different kuanday technologies nga gipang apply ron. The future of funerals. Tech is bringing new rituals and practices to the way we say goodbye. Okay, especially COVID, di na makakantos lubong. Dumping passwords can improve your security. Really? Ako yawa na. And online censorship is affecting people around the world. Ang LG Wing hands-on what it's like to actually use the word swiveling phone. Ako kita man ko ana sa mga reviews. Buang sa cellphone na eh. Takilid. James Cameron confirms nga ang Avatar 2 ug Avatar 3 are almost complete. Ang movie ni siya. Live action shooting in New Zealand is done on Avatar 2 and 95% complete on Avatar 3. Ito ang 3 yang dunganon. TikTok ban on new downloads has been delayed by a federal judge. Kuyawa na. Diba? Pakon mata ito ni Trump. Mura ko sa ka-judge ni Paunong. Tenet explained that ending and all those questions answered. Okay, kung tanaw ni Tenet makaisunan kay kinahanglan ng concentration. Christopher Nolan's latest time-twisting movie might be occasionally mind-boggling. There are some answers to what happened. Okay. U.S. restrictions on the China's biggest right. So muna itong mga headlines mga kaigsanan. So si Felipe Miñosa watching from Talamban, Chris Hala watching from Pahak. Okay, so kung mo, please try to chat to right, so nato mo sa YouTube makaisa na YouTube si Jayam Sarabilio naminaw gikan sa Davao City. Gikan sa Davao City si Jayam. Naminaw to yun. Okay. Alright, ngari kita sa mga detalye sa atong technology news mga kaigsunan. Ang battle. Nag-on ba niya itong microphone? Tingali ko na po na mag-on na itong microphone ha. Nag-on na eh. Ito ba ang kamay dire? Sir, on. Makita. Right. So, ang away sa Battle of Epic Games. Ang Epic Games mo ni company nga tag-iya sa game nga Fortnite. Wa jud ko ma-explain kaning Fortnite mo sikat pa niyo. Asa mo itong Candy Crush eh? Apple's battle with Epic Games could lead to big changes in iPhone apps. The future of the iPhone is once again at stake as Apple defends its App Store policies. Apple's iPhone is already one of the world's most litigated devices. Okay, for example, ang Apple nagkunta na siya sa iyang rival nga Samsung, although ang Samsung subcontractor sa Apple, and others over iPhone's design. It fought phone giant Nokia and chip maker Qualcomm over patent royalties. Sawa pa ang smartphone, Apple smartphone went on sale in 2007. Apple even fought networking giant Cisco over the iPhone name. Ngayon, di tangag ay Apple ni tagiya. Kano na nag-ay? Now, ang Apple magkaigsunan last week na bagong combatant in court. Kontra na po niya. This time, ang nag-fight ang Epic Games, maker sa online gaming phenomenon nga Fortnite, which has more than 350 million players. By the way, ha? Kapila na yung balik-balik, ani? Karabang technology, karabang applications like mga games or mga apps. Sometimes, naragi timing nga mo hit na siya. Kaya it could be the same idea how many years ago, katong Friendster, prayer man ko nag-Facebook. Nya ka ng games, kini, nagsikat man ng Fortnite. It's just another battle. It's just another game, di ba? Pero, parang ganyan siya. So, you keep on making games. Who knows mo, buhat kag 50 ka po, usa siguro mo hit. Siya nang kag 350 million players worldwide. Ang Fortnite. Ang Epic mikiha on sa Apple, alleging nga ang iPhone makers rules or ang Apple mga rules for how big a cut of app sales developers need to pay Apple and how they can even make money on the popular App Store. Matupan nila anti-competitive. How to make money on App Store o how to pay Apple sa ilang products sold App Store. Pero ano na sa mo makaigsunan? Mura ba tindahan gud? Ang Apple may tag-iya sa building, mura SM ba? Mag-abang ra mo din na mabayad gud po mo kay ay maglibre ng pagbuhat ng building. The suit effectively forces Apple to defend the way it operates its app stores, the only gateway for developers who want to have their apps made available for download on the iPhone. To prove its point, ang Epic Games intentionally ilaging ito yun. They broke Apple's rules that say that in-app purchases, Apple developers can only use Apple Payments Processing Service. Ang in-app purchases, sama add-ons like digital tokens that users gamito nila to buy to get different clothes or designs of their digital characters and weapons. Sa app mismo sa Fortnite. Developers, especially the ones who offer free for download apps like Fortnite, rely on those in-app purchases as a key source of income. So, in file case, hidden Epic turned on hidden code in its Fortnite battle game, letting users buy directly from Epic at a discount rather than pay full price using Apple's own payment gateway, payment service. So, by letting users pay Epic directly instead of through Apple's payment service, Epic also circumvented the up to 30% commission on its side of the sale that Apple charges developers for the privilege of their wares being available to iPhone users on the App Store. Wala, di siya may nag-build sa software infrastructure. Yung Apple, 30% ako. Kung di nga itong balik sa lain. Apple quickly banned Fortnite gikan sa iyang App Store o kang Epic mikiha in response. Ito Epic. Para nanay kanang controversial. In response, kicking off a legal battle that's grabbed the attention of both the game industry and millions of app developers, all of whose businesses could change as a result of whatever happens. The App Store, launched in June 2008, has grown to more than 1.85 million apps. Grabe yan, no? 185 million apps, mga software na available na, 185. It's attracted more than 27 million app developers. Nga, ang ilang programs have been downloaded by about 1 billion people across 175 countries. Gabi yan yung Apple, laba pa may gobyerno ni. Apple is estimated to have paid out $37 billion to developers last year. Matod pa sa Sensor Tower o saan siya ka industry watcher or think tank. Assuming Apple took a 30% cut, that puts Apple Store sales at about 55.5 billion US dollars. There's good arguments on both sides. Matod pa ni David Olson, usa ka professor sa Boston College of Law na nagmonitor og mga antitrust, intellectual property, and patent law. What makes this case in particular stand out, he said, it raises thorny questions about how much Apple is allowed to control its platform, an issue that's been debated online for years, but not so much in the courts. This case could be huge. Apple and Epic didn't respond to requests for comments from the media. What's at stake for Apple is how apps are distributed and monetized across mobile devices. Apple in particular has demanded it approve every app that's offered for sale for its iPhone since the beginning, with its App Store serving as the only distribution platform for iPhone app developers. Kay o padong sa iPhone, mag-agi ka sa App Store. Apple also touts that control as a feature in its marketing, promising iPhone users they can trust any app they download gikan sa App Store because it's already been vetted. Aside from charging an up to 30% fee for in-app purchases, Apple requires app developers nga mo-follow sila sa ilang mga policies against what it deems as objectionable content, sama sa pornography, encouraging drug use, or realistic portrayals of death and violence. Apple also scans for security issues, spam, and apps that could be used to take data from people's phones without their consent. Now, Apple's requirement that every iOS app undergo rigorous human-assisted review, with reviewers representing 81 languages, vetting on the average 100,000 submissions per week. 100,000 apps I submit per week. It is critical to its ability to maintain App Store as a secure and trusted nga platform para sa mga consumers to discover and download software. That trust in the App Store brand is so important to Apple that it even fought Amazon and Microsoft over the name App Store. Of course, Apple ultimately backed down. It's the actually the yes board ng app. Now, ang App Store policies sa Apple have almost always been at the center sa controversy for Apple too. Kay ang tight control sa Apple, murag tungod na sa pagka-controlling po ato nga nature sa CEO nila sa una, ang founder nga si Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs micromanaged the look and feel of the company's software and hardware, sometimes down to the smallest dot on the screen, the angle of the curves of its devices, and the satisfying click feeling when you plug in a cord. So, katong obsessive nga controlling approach, nakapasuya po niya sa mga developers over the years. They see Apple's inflexible rules over everything from content to the ways programs talk to the internet give the iPhone maker too much control over other companies. For example, ang Apple ning ban sa usa ka app gikan sa usa ka Pulitzer winning cartoonist. Kaya tingali ko ra kayo. Or bag tingali controversial kayo itong iyang mga cartoons. And in July, legislators on Capitol Hill called in Apple CEO Tim Cook alongside leaders of Facebook, Amazon, and Google parent Alphabet to defend those and other policies. Kuyawa, no? Matod pa ni Tim Cook, ang CEO sa Apple karon. Yun siya, ang approach sa Apple, makatabang ko nag-attract sa mas daghang customers o mas daghang developers sa platform. Kaya nga no, yun siya clearly, kung ang Apple kuno may gatekeeper, clearly if Apple is a gatekeeper, what we have done is open the gate wider. We want to get every app we can on the store, not to keep them off. Now, at Epic Games, amoy tigbuwat sa Fortnite na game. Epic Games, amoy company. Is it the only developer that disagrees with Apple? More than a dozen companies, including music service Spotify and dating app maker Match Group, joined with Epic to found a group ginganlan nila og coalition for app fairness to take on Apple's rules. As enforcers, regulators, and legislators around the world investigate Apple for its anti-competitive behavior, the Coalition for App Fairness will be the voice of app and game developers in the effort to protect consumer choice and create a level playing field for all. Ang Spotify, matod pa sa head sa Global Affairs sa Spotify nga si Horacio Gutierrez. Spotify also helped kick off European Union investigations sa Apple a few months ago after the music service complained to European regulators about the company's policies. Now, ang Apple o ang Epic Games are set to meet in an online version of what would have been an Oakland, California courtroom. A reminder that despite the coronavirus pandemic that's infected more than 32 million people and killed at least 990,000 worldwide, big fights between big tech companies are still going. Ang Epic may argue nga ang strict control sa iyang App Store sa Apple by Apple is anti-competitive and that the court should force the company to allow alternative app stores and payment processors on its phones, remaking the way people get and pay for iPhone apps. Apple is bigger and more powerful, more entrenched, and more pernicious than the monopolies of yesteryear. Matod pa sa Epic sa iyang legal filing. Apple's size and reach far exceeds that of any technology monopolist in history. Apple responded saying Epic's lawsuit is just a disagreement over money. Although Epic portrays itself as a modern corporate Robin Hood, in reality it is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise that simply wants to pay nothing for the tremendous value it derives from the App Store. Epic battle. Apple and Epic Games used to be friends. Apple invited the software developer on stage at one of its events to show off Project Zerd, a game later called Infinity Blade, designed to show off Epic's Unreal Engine tools that could be used to create beautiful and intricately designed games. We're using the same lighting and motion captured animation techniques you see in top films. Mga sinigi ko, no? Matod pa ni Mike Capps atong panahon na maoy president sa Epic Games. Samtang nag-demonstrate siya sa fantasy game battle between a knight and massive brutes on the newly announced iPhone 4 in 2010. Apple brought Epic back on stage in 2011 to show off its sequel, Infinity Blade 2, and then again in 2013 for the second sequel, Infinity Blade 3. Each game was considered a success and largely well reserved. Now, of all the games, thousands of games to hit the iOS, that's the operating system of Apple, iOS, over the years, Infinity Blade and Infinity Blade 2 were among the few that aspired to be something greater than mere mobile games. Matod ba sa game columnist si Mark Walton in 2013. He said, their visuals were, and still indeed are, some of the most impressive to grace that platform, and both offered a surprising amount of depth behind their flashy touchscreen swordplay. As Epic grew into a multi-billion-dollar company, it began using its size to push for game change within the industry. In 2015, Epic began offering its Unreal Engine game development tools for free, taking a 5% royalty on games sold. Now, money difference sa copyright free o royalty free. It could still be copyrighted but royalty free. Pero mapalit ka. Or it could be freely given but you have to give royalty. This year it would charge game royalties only about after a developer's first $1 million revenue. You want to be a company that empowers creators. Matod pa ni Ben Wiley, Program Director of Game Production sa Champlain College dito sa Vermont, na formerly nakatrabaho sa Warner Brothers. Epic's most controversial move came in 2018 when the company opened its Epic Games store for PCs, a competitor to the industry leading Valve Steam store. Now, though the Epic Store didn't have the same social networking, reviews and other features that Valve did, it asked for only a 12% commission from game developers, less than half the industry standard nga 30%. To win over developers even further, ang Epic, nagbot siya yung kagaling game store, ang Epic started paying for and securing exclusivity deals for PC games, effectively locking the titles to its Epic Game Store, usually for a year. Some of those exclusives were highly anticipated titles like Gearbox Software's sci-fi shooter nga Borderlands 3, o ang Deep Silver's post-apocalyptic thriller nga ginalag Metro Exodus, and the epic game story Shenmue 3. As Epic's roster of exclusive titles grow, some players bristled at being forced to sign up for yet another online service in order to play games they're excited about. I wish there were a more popular way to do this. Epic's CEO said in a 2019 interview with Senate. But a survey by the Game Developers Conference released just before media interviews underscored Sweeney's point, finding among other things that the majority of game developers weren't sure that Valve's Steam justified its 30% cut of revenue. I feel like the ends are worth more than the means. Now, Epic is taking its fight to Apple and fighting a different app store for mobile devices. In emails between the two companies before the lawsuit was filed, Sweeney asked Apple to allow Epic to create its own app store for mobile devices too, and use its own payment processing service. Apple refused because you're using Apple's software infrastructure, the App Store. Custody for the App Store. Epic isn't just fighting Apple in the courts, it's also devised a PR campaign to bring that fight to the public. That same day that Fortnite was kicked off the App Store by Apple, Fortnite is the game created by Epic Games, and after Epic sued, the company released an ad parodying Apple's famous Ridley Scott directed 1984 Macintosh Super Bowl ad. It was only played once, the 1984 Super Bowl ad by Ridley Scott, and actually it's considered the best TV advert of all time. That was in 1984. The title is 1984, also against Big Brother. Big Brother, of course, is a character in the George Orwell book 1984, which was written in 1948. Gibalilan George Orwell. George Orwell wrote a novel in the year 1948, and it changed the digits from 1948, changed it to 1984, and it says this is what's going to happen in 1984. We have Big Brother. Now karon na 2020 mo na Big Brother ron kana. Tanan na to mga basta tong now may bawa na. Epic's remaking called the 1984 Night, 1984 Night, paints Apple as a domineering Big Brother and shows a Fortnite character fighting back. So ilang gi-parody ang 1984. Apple says the commission it charges for the tools, people and computing costs to run its App Store. The company also says ang iyang control protects users from potentially bad behavior and fraud as well. Neither company's arguments appear to have swung the court of public opinion much. Analysts say the whole thing boils down really to a slap fight over money between a multi-trillion-dollar company and a multi-billion-dollar company. Epic's being self-serving by saying it's protecting the little guy, and Apple's being self-serving by saying it's protecting consumers. Matupas sa professor sa NYU or New York University U Stern School of Business, an author of the upcoming book One Up: Creativity, Competition, and the Global Business of Video Games. Regardless of how this lawsuit goes, Apple's continuing challenge will be to convince developers the App Store is worth that 30% fee. In the game industry, console makers justify their cut of games sold by using the money to help market their products and grow the number of people playing even more. Console makers also tend to take a less of a cut the larger a company sales get. So, in lain ng percentage, marabang kagamay dako ng sales. In the meantime, the first court skirmishes between Apple and Epic have scored legal wins for both companies. In an emergency hearing in August, a district judge agreed that Apple could keep Fortnite off its App Store during the lawsuit. She also ruled that Epic should be able to continue distributing its Unreal game tools to developers without interference from Apple. For now. The risk that Apple could lose the case and potentially set a precedent that upends how all app stores work across the tech industry will likely drive the company to settle. But this is also why Olson, the law professor, is hoping for the case to drag on a bit. He wants to see how Apple, Epic, and the court attempt to apply antitrust laws from decades ago to modern day technology. Antitrust needs to catch up with the world's sound. And the cases like this, should help it do that. Kuyawa. Now, paano yung na, no? Importante. Anyway, di lang tamo sugod paglain na topic kay alanganin na kayo. Salamat sa yung pag-iguban ka na ako. Discuss na og legal issues sa Epic of Apple. This is the 18th episode 18 of Sibya I.T with Kuya JT on the 28th of September 2020. Thank you and good afternoon. See you tomorrow. Sorry. No, no audio de. Sorry. Marasan kaya basta tinungdan akong sulti. Anyway, welcome to episode 14 of Ignorantia Legis. Ignorantia Legis. September 28, 2020. Episode 14. Salamat sa yung pag-iuban ka na ako. Now, at episode 13, nag-discuss sa introductory part sa political international law. By the way, we will follow for the schedule, we'll follow syllabus. Political law sa Monday, political law, labor law, 30 minutes each. And then Tuesday, civil law, taxation. And then Wednesday, mercantile law, criminal law. And then Friday, Thursday, remedial law o siguro Thursday, remedial law, taas yung Thursday, and then Friday, legal ethics and some other problems. Now, ang sa introductory part, I will cover first all the basics. Now, later on, for example, civil law, maybe dili ta mo isgot sa sequentially, maybe mulok ta dito sa family law, family code, di ba? Pero ang basics, ato sang i-mention for all the subjects, ato sang i-discuss ang basics. Now, anyway, so, nakadiscuss ta last episode na to sa sa Political International Law Introduction. Karon mag-discuss ta sa introduction sa labor law. Okay. Legis main. Okay, so labor law. Okay, so pwede mo just leave your message there. And by the way, as I mentioned, please move to YouTube and make sure you subscribe to YouTube, and then you write comments on YouTube. Yato na mabasa. So everybody, please move to YouTube. Ito na itong quality sa YouTube. Okay, from Facebook, you move to YouTube and make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Okay, kasagaran ninyo na subscribe mo sa Facebook, wala sa YouTube. Okay, so right now, please move to YouTube. Okay, please move to YouTube, subscribe there, and post your comment there so that I would know na nakasubscribe na mo, na mo dito sa YouTube. Okay, now balik kita sa atong discussion sa labor law and social legislation na siya. Fundamental principles, ang fundamental principles niya ni mag-agad gina siya, musugod gina sa Constitution. Okay. So, sa mga provisions sa Constitution with respect to labor law and social legislation. So, for example, sa may mga constitutional provisions nga relevant sa labor law, ang normal gina is the following are the relevant constitutional provisions to labor law and social legislation. Article 2, Section 9, Section 10, Section 11, Section 13, Section 14, Section 18, Section 20. Section 9, it says that the state shall promote a just and dynamic social order that will ensure the prosperity and independence of the nation and free the people from poverty through policies that provide adequate social services, promote full employment, a rising standard of living, and improved quality of life for all. Section 9 sa Article 2. Sorry. Now, Ang Section 10, the state shall promote social justice in all phases of national development. Section 11, the state shall promote social justice in all phases of national development. Section 11, the state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. Section 13, the state recognizes the vital role of the youth in nation building and shall promote and protect their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well-being. It shall inculcate in the youth patriotism, nationalism, and encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs. Section 14 is Article 2 sa Constitution. The state recognizes the role of women in nation building and shall ensure the fundamental equality before the law of women and men. Section 18, the state affirms labor as a primary social economic force. It shall protect the rights of workers and promote their welfare. Section 20, the state recognizes the indispensable role of the private sector, encourages private enterprise, and provides incentives to needed investments. Now, sa Article 3 sa Constitution, provisions with respect to labor law and social legislation. Article 3, Sections 1, 4, 7, 8, 10, 16, 18, 2. Section 1. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall anyone be denied the equal protection of the laws. Now remember, within the meaning of the Constitution, your livelihood is property. So manang gi-appeal na diri due process clause. And Section 4 sa Article 3 Constitution, no law shall be passed abridging the freedom of speech or expression or of the press or the rights of the people peaceably to assemble and petition the redress of grievances. Of course, freedom of speech, assembly, so mga strike. Section 7, Article 3 Constitution. Provisions, these are provisions related to labor law and social legislation. Section 7, the right of the people to information on matters of public concern shall be recognized, access to official records, and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decisions, as well as to government research data used as a basis for policy development, shall be afforded the citizen, subject to such limitations as may be provided by law. So, for example, kang mga data ginbasihan sa NEDA, National Economic Development Authority, you should have access to that. Section 8, the right of the people, including those employed in the public and private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies for purposes not contrary to law, shall not be abridged. Mag-form ka association against the law, di pwede. Section 8, the right of the people, including those employed in the public and private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies for purposes constitutional shall not be abridged. Section 10, no law impairing the obligation of contracts shall be passed. Section 16, all persons shall have the right to speedy disposition of their cases. Before all judicial, quasi-judicial, and administrative bodies. Section 18 too. No involuntary servitude in any form shall exist except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. Now, Article 13 sa Constitution, Sections 1, 2, 3, 13, and 4. Again, these are cases. These are articles in the Constitution relevant to labor law and social legislation. Article 13, Section 1. The Congress, when we say Congress, Congress as a whole is the legislative body. Congress has two units, the upper house, the Senate, and the lower house, the House of Representatives. Article 13, Section 1. The Congress shall give highest priority to the enactment of measures that protect and enhance the right of all people to human dignity, reduce social, economic, and political inequalities, and remove cultural inequalities by equitably diffusing wealth and political power for the common good. To this end, the state shall regulate the acquisition, ownership, use, and disposition of property and its increments. Section 2. The promotion of social justice shall include the commitment to create economic opportunities based on freedom of initiative and self-reliance. Section 3. As taas po yung Section 3 na. As taas na yung Section 3. Section 3. The state shall afford full protection to labor, local and overseas, organized and unorganized, and promote full employment and equality of employment opportunities for all. It shall guarantee the rights of all workers to self-organization, collective bargaining and negotiations, and peaceful, concerted activities, including the right to strike in accordance with law. It shall be entitled to security of tenure, humane conditions of work, and a living wage. They shall also participate in policy and decision-making processes affecting the rights and benefits as may be provided by law. The state shall promote the principle of shared responsibility between workers and employers and the preferential use of voluntary modes in settling disputes, including conciliation, and shall enforce their mutual compliance therewith to foster industrial peace. The state shall regulate the relations between workers and employers, recognizing the right of labor to its just share in the fruits of production, and the rights of enterprises to reasonable returns to investments and to expansion and growth. Section 13. The state shall establish a special agency for disabled persons for their rehabilitation, self-development, and self-reliance and their integration into the mainstream of society. Section 14. The state shall protect working women by providing safe, healthful working conditions, taking into account their maternal functions, and such facilities and opportunities that will enhance their welfare and enable them to realize their full potential in the service of the nation. So these are the provisions of Article 13 in the 1987 Constitution relevant to labor law and social legislation. So, what provisions of the new civil code are relevant to labor law? The following are the relevant provisions to labor law. Article 19 of the Civil Code. Every person must, in the exercise of his rights and in the performance of his duties, act with justice, give everyone his due, and observe honesty and good faith. Mao ni makaisunan ang gitawag na to principle of the abuse of rights. So, you might be in the right, but if you abuse your exercise of that right, then you can be sued by your victim. Gamit yan example case ani gyud. Unya na discussion niya nato na sa Civil Code. Article 1700 sa Civil Code. The relations between capital and labor are not merely contractual. They are so impressed with public interest that labor contracts must yield to the common good. Therefore, such contracts are subject to the special laws on labor unions, collective bargaining, strikes, lockouts, closed shop, wages, working conditions, hours of labor, and similar subjects. Article 1702. In case of doubts, all labor contracts shall be construed in favor of the safety and decent living of the laborer. So again, Article 1702. Civil Code niya, all labor contracts shall be construed in favor of the safety and the decent living of the labor worker. So, in favor of the worker. In case of doubt. Labor Code. Okay. Of course, ang Labor Code man itong main law on labor. What are the basic policies of the state with respect to labor? So, sa may mga basic policies sa state with respect to labor. Nanana sa atong constitution. Kung gimension ko ganina, of course, tapos Labor Code. The state shall afford protection to labor, promote full employment, ensure equal work opportunities regardless of sex, race, or creed, and regulate the relations between workers and employers. The state shall assure the rights of workers to self-organization, collective bargaining, security of tenure, and just and humane conditions of work. Article 3 of the Labor Code. By the way, magkaisa na ha? Or ang 1987 Constitution, dili ko sa Labor Code. Kini yang state policies. Magikopya. In case of doubts, how are the labor provisions construed? Maglibog ka. Saan pa construe ng labor cases? In case of doubts, all doubts in the implementation and interpretation of the provisions of this code, the Labor Code, including its implementing rules and regulations, shall be resolved in favor of labor. Article 4, Labor Code. Nabito ito case magkaigsunan nga sa itong sa din benefit nga ang klarong kung sa provision para sa babae, kiha ang laki, anong babae naman. So, karon, so there's interpretation of the provision, so it was resolved in favor of the laborer. So, na benefited po ang laki sa mga case. Og si ato masaw ni si Wilson Herrera, Yannick Cindy, Sonny de los Santos, Wilson Herrera, si attorney anyway palit here on YouTube, not YouTube. Millennial pronunciation may again. Sorry attorney, nakaroon ko basa sa imong kuhanda message attorney. YouTube magand ako attorney, kaya kinaraan mo ni ako YouTube. Doris Go Maturan, watching all your episode 14 sa Ignorantia Legis through YouTube. YouTube good ba? Broadcast interrupted sa FB. Ngarita sa kuan. Attorney na ngari sa YouTube. Tanan para arong a lot of those in Facebook are not yet subscribed sa YouTube. So, better move to YouTube. Hello Attorney JT, good afternoon. Watching your program, episode 14, Ignorantia Legis through YouTube from Cebu, Cordova. Si Oyong Barlaan, good afternoon po sa YouTube. Okay. So please convince your friends to go to YouTube. Ano ko mabasa? Sorry kay Attorney. Okay, so what is the underlying policy of our law's new employers compensation program? It is the policy of the state to promote and develop a tax-exempt employees compensation program whereby employees and their dependents in the event of work-connected disability or death may promptly secure adequate income benefit and medical related benefits. Murag ang employees compensation program murag part na gyapon sa SSS. So, ang to gyapon ang SSS. Article 172 formerly 166 ang labor code pagtuon din ako sa bar pagtan. Uy, namin din ng labor code. Lain na pag numbering na may yung formerly till samot ang kalibog. What are the policy objectives of our labor relations law? Sahay mo gawas is bar kay muna na. Name 3 of our policy objectives. Pinuan naman na ayaw na taon problem solving tagay memory work. So it is the policy of the state to promote and emphasize the primacy of free collective bargaining and negotiations, including voluntary arbitration, mediation, and conciliation as modes of settling labor or industrial disputes. B. To promote free trade unionism as an instrument for the enhancement of democracy and the promotion of social justice and development. C. To foster the free and voluntary organization of a strong and united labor movement. D. To promote the enlightenment of workers concerning the rights and obligations as union members and as employees. E. To provide an adequate administrative machinery for the expeditious settlement of labor or industrial disputes. F. To ensure a stable but dynamic and just industrial peace. G. To ensure the participation of workers in decision and policy making processes affecting the rights, duties, and welfare. H. To encourage a truly democratic method of regulating the relations between employers and employees by means of agreements freely entered into through collective bargaining. No court or administrative agency or official shall have the power to set or fix wages, rates of pay, hours of work, or other terms and conditions of employment, except as those provided under the Labor Code, Article 217, formerly Article 211. Formerly, did not mention formerly. Now, what are the important terms in labor relations? Okay. A. Employer. Someone employer. The employer includes any person acting in the interests of an employer. Directly or indirectly. The term shall not include any labor organization or any of its officers or agents except when acting as employer. So, malibog na paminaw. So, ang kini ko ng labor organization, dili employer unless it's acting as an employer. Libog siya. Dili, magod kay, sometimes, a labor union, mahal ng secretary, o employer siya. With respect to the secretary sa labor union. Employee, definition, includes any person in the employ of an employer. The term shall not be limited to the employees of a particular employer unless the code so explicitly states. It shall include any individual whose work has ceased as a result of or in connection with any current labor disputes or because of any unfair labor practice, if he has not yet obtained any other substantially equivalent and regular employment. So, employee gyapon ka. Employee gyapon ka. Bisan pag natakta ka tungod sa kaso or pending kaso, takta ka. Labor organization means any union or association of employees which exists in whole or in part for the purpose of collective bargaining or of dealing with employers concerning terms and conditions of employment. Legitimate labor organization means any labor organization duly registered with the Department of Labor and Employment and includes any branch or local thereof. Company union means any labor organization, post formation, function, or administration has been assisted by any act defined as unfair labor practice by this code. And that's actually naging ang company union. And actually ang union ang company di dapat magapil-apil. I remember I had disagreements, an argument with my professor once sa NBA. Okay, and I mentioned, actually sir, you cannot do that. You cannot conduct a seminar in favor of the union as a company. Oh, siya, promote na ng tag-unionism, depende sir. Because that is not allowed. That's an unfair labor practice on the part of the company. Company na may naghatag noon o nag-promote o... Yeah, but again, this is it. It becomes a company union. It might be suspected as being a company union. Now, bargaining representative means a legitimate labor organization, whether or not employed by the employer. Unfair labor practice means any unfair labor practice as expressly defined in the code. So, kung wala sa code, dili na unfair labor practice or ULP. Dili na ULP. Labor disputes. The term labor dispute includes any controversy or matter concerning terms and conditions of employment by the association or registration of persons in negotiating, fixing, maintaining, changing, or arranging the terms and conditions of employment regardless of whether the disputants stand in proximate relation of employer and employee. Diba? Managerial employee is one who is vested with the powers or prerogatives to lay down and execute management policies and or to hire, transfer, suspend, lay off, recall, discharge, assign, or discipline employees. Siya managerial employee. Supervisory employees are those who, in the interests of the employer, effectively recommends, effectively recommends such managerial actions if the exercise of such authority is not merely routinary or clerical in nature, but requires the use of independent judgment. All employees not falling within any of the above definitions are considered rank and file employees for purposes of this book, the Labor Code. So, remember, managerial employee, supervisory employee, and then the next is rank and file employee. Voluntary arbitrator. What is it? Voluntary arbitrator means any person accredited by the National Conciliation and Mediation Board as such, or any person named or designated in the collective bargaining agreement by the parties to act as their voluntary arbitrator, or one chosen with or without the assistance of the said board pursuant to a selection procedure agreed upon in the collective bargaining agreement, or any official that may be authorized by the Secretary of Labor and Employment to act as voluntary arbitrator upon the written request and agreement of a parties to a labor dispute. Strike. Strike means any temporary work stoppage by the concerted action of employees as a result of an industrial or labor dispute. May definition sa strike. May definition sa lockout. Lockout means any temporary refusal. Lockout means any temporary refusal of an employer to furnish work as a result of an industrial or labor dispute. Sige, di tama, pataga ang trabaho. So, mo balik, di mataga ang trabaho. Strike, na. Internal union dispute includes all disputes and grievances arising from any violation or disagreement in any provision of the Constitution and by laws of a union, including any violation of the rights and conditions of union membership provided for in this code. Maglalis po ng empleyado ang union. A union member of union itself. Strike breaker. Scabs siya. Meaning any person who obstructs, impedes, or interferes by force, violence, coercion, threats, or intimidation, any peaceful picketing affecting wages, hours, or conditions of work, or in the exercise of the right to self-organization or collective bargaining. Strike area. It means the establishment, warehouses, depots, plants, or offices, including the sites and premises used as runaway shops of the employer struck against, as well as the immediate vicinity actually used by the picketing strikers in order to move to and fro before all points of entrance to and exit from said establishment. Article 218 as amended. Labor Code. So, sa mga definitions of terms magkaigsunod. Now, unsa may extend sa workers' rights to participate in policy and decision making. The labor organization designated or selected by the majority of the employees in an appropriate collective bargaining unit shall be the exclusive representative of the employees in such units for the purpose of collective bargaining. However, an individual employee or group of employees shall have the right at any time to present grievances to their employer. Article 261 sa Labor Code. Any provision of law to the contrary notwithstanding, workers shall have the right subject to such rules and regulations as the Secretary of Labor and Employment may promulgate, to participate in policy and decision-making processes of the establishments where they are employed insofar as said processes will directly affect their rights, benefits, and welfare. For this purpose, workers and employers may form LMC or Labor Management Councils, provided that the representatives of the workers in such labor management councils shall be elected by at least the majority of all employees in said establishment, as amended by Section 22, RA 6715, March 21, 1989. Now, what are the rights of the unions to collect reasonable fees? Ang union, pwede ba makulik ng reasonable fees? According to Article 23 of the Labor Code, all unions are authorized to collect reasonable membership fees, union dues, assessments, and fines, and other contributions for labor education and research, mutual death and hospitalization, hospitalization benefits, welfare fund, strike fund, credits and cooperative undertakings, as amended by RA 671. So, pero mga employers, are they required to furnish a notice of termination to those employees whose termination is sought to be terminated? The answer is yes. According to the Labor Code, Article 283, subject to the constitutional right of workers to security of tenure and the right to be protected against dismissal, except for a just and authorized cause, and without prejudice to the requirement of notice under Article 23 of this Code, the employer shall furnish the worker whose employment is sought to be terminated a written notice containing a statement of the causes for termination, and shall afford the latter ample opportunity to be heard and to defend himself with the assistance of the representative if he so desires, in accordance with company rules and regulations promoted pursuant to the guidelines set by the DOLE. Any decision taken by the employer shall be without prejudice to the right of the worker to contest the validity of the legality of his dismissal by filing a complaint. Filing a complaint with the regional branch of the NLRC or the National Labor Relations Commission. Now, the burden of proving that the termination was for a valid or authorized cause shall rest on the employer. The Secretary of the Department of Labor and Employment may suspend the effects of the termination pending resolution of the dispute in the event of a prima facie finding by the appropriate official of the Labor of Employment before whom such dispute is pending that termination may cause a serious labor dispute or is an implementation of a mass layoff, as amended by Section 23 of RA 6715. Anyway, salamat pag-iuban ka na kung mag-isan sa labor law na to. First na to, nga lecture sa labor law. Episode 13, Ignorantia Legis. As I said, ang tanang mga introductory atong kaviran. After the introductory, maybe you can skip the particular topic na ganahan ninyo. dili, not necessarily sequentially. Thank you, and good afternoon. This is JD Benz, episode 14, Ignorantia Legis. Ignorantia Legis, September 28, 2020.